Shanna here with Not Just Small Talk. My guest today is someone who's become very, very precious to me. Sophie Marie. She is a transgender actress. I met her when she was Rory years ago, and we have had a very kind of loose friendship for a long time, but we've reconnected recently, and I'm absolutely inspired by her courage, her love, her empathy, and her newfound passion for encouraging people to just take control of their own narrative, take control of their own story. You're going to enjoy this. Sophie Marie Wright. We'll be right back. This is Shanna with Not Just Small Talk. Hi everybody, Shanna here with Not Just Small Talk, and I am excited today to have as my guest, Sophie Marie. So Sophie and I have known each other for a while.
For a long time.
I knew her as Rory, but we've kind of gotten reconnected lately, and I just wanted to talk about her story today. So I'm so glad you're here.
Well,
you are
thank you
such
for
an
inviting
inspiration
me.
to me, and I've been following your journey online. And now that I'm in New Orleans, I thought, you know what, let's sit down and let's talk about this. Let's talk about this
awesome.
journey that you've been on.
Well, it's been an incredible journey. It's been scary at times.
I'm sure.
It's been very revealing. It's been interesting. That would be the best way to describe this, interesting.
I bet. So, you know, for people who don't understand this whole process, talk to me. How did you know that you needed to change to Sophie? How did you know, what made...
Well, you know, I guess...
Tell me the human story behind this.
Well, the biggest thing is I don't understand it, so which is kind of weird at the same time. But
Yeah.
I had gotten to the point where I became suicidal, which really, you know, I never thought I would be in that position.
But let's go back, Sophie. When did you know?
I've known, I guess I figured it out somewhere around 20 years ago.
Okay.
You know, everything in my life was just getting to the point where everything was coming together, everything's going. But, you know, when you're growing up, I wish I could put an actual date and time stamp on that thing, because that's one of those questions I've always wanted to ask, you know. Have I just made this up? Is this something that's really going on? You know, it's one of those things. I'm the type of person who always wants answers.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of answers on here, which is really kind of weird for me, because a lot of it's faith.
Yeah.
Just taking that
going
leap.
with the
And
flow.
I can tell you, since things have changed for me, I mean, the world has opened up to me, and
Yeah.
I'm so much happier.
Right.
And
So you
just-
knew about 20 years ago. You started to
about
feel
20
like...
years ago, I really started questioning what was going on.
Let's
That's
talk about what
something-
that feels like. What is, I mean, if you're okay with that, I'd love to know.
sure,
Because I think she doesn't even understand.
which is
So it's
fine.
okay.
Yeah.
So I want to say, it's
Yeah.
okay not to understand
and it
everything in
is.
life. That's
Yes.
what faith is.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
in its core is just not even understanding, but
Right.
trusting something because you know that it's right.
Yes.
And you knew in your heart that something wasn't right.
I knew stuff was off, you know, and I go back and, you know, there's bits and pieces all over the place, but I don't want to kind of construct something to like fabricate something.
Right.
I want the truth, and that's something I've been working on for the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
That what that truth is,
Right.
and I can't come up with an answer, but I can tell you, you know, like when I was in 7th grade. You know, I joined a glee club. I was more happy being with girls than with guys. It's a lot of little bitty things that you can't really put your finger on one thing. Because one thing by itself doesn't matter.
No, right.
But when you put all these in a collection of things, it starts to make sense to you.
Yeah.
You know?
And you just knew at some point that you needed to become
somewhere
Sophie.
around 20 years ago, I realized that things weren't right. You know, that I wasn't Rory.
Yeah.
You know, and then the problem is living in South Louisiana and the stigma involved with being transgender.
Well, the stigma anywhere. I mean, if we look at the numbers, transgender are probably the ones who have the most violence against them out of the LGBTQ community.
Oh, absolutely. Not only the most violence, but the highest suicidal rate. Our suicidal rate is 46% of us attempt suicide. That's 1 in 2. So just think about that. 1 in 2, if you know 2 people that are transgender, one of them has attempted suicide, not thought about it.
Right.
I think it's 100% that thought about it.
Yeah.
but has actually tried to take steps to take their life.
Yeah.
And I've had friends that have taken their life.
Yeah.
And it's ripped my heart out.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about that for a minute. So you started to feel like you weren't right in your own body. Guys, let's think about this, okay? Let's be real here for a minute, because this bothers me. It bothers me when anybody, and if you guys know me, you know this bothers me. It bothers me when anybody can't feel comfortable in their own skin. I work with autistic children. I work with people of all types, with disabilities, with all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Whoever said that we weren't supposed to feel comfortable in our body and in our soul and in our mind? I'm sorry, I'm not okay with that. And I'm not okay with a society that will be cruel, mean, divisive,
it has,
isolate people. I'm not okay with that.
Well, you see, but now one thing I wish I would have known a lot earlier than I did was that the world isn't always like that, which is amazing because I've had a really easy transition compared to a lot of people that I know. Like all my family stayed with me, all my friends stayed with me. Nobody really kind of just got rid of me because I was transgender. Now I know a lot of other people that didn't go so well.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's because mine was super slow. Because I've kind of been doing it over 10 years or so, or is it because?
Well, and that's something I want to talk about. Because here's the thing: when we see things done well, we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between things done not well and handled well, and things that are done well and where people are respected and advocated for. And I think, that's one of the things I do love about your story, is that it was gradual, and you could see the support around you, which in an area like South Louisiana is not necessarily common. Right. Now, she is very lovable.
Well, thank you.
I'm sure every transgender in America is very lovable. Yeah. So it has nothing to do with that. It has more to do with us who are observing your journey and being affected by it, or even threatened by it at times, the way we respond. So you can do everything you can do, but it's up to us as their community to be supportive and to love and to encourage the journey.
I think we can do it better ourselves sometimes. Because sometimes, and it's hard because sometimes like misgendering. That I'm actually writing about that right now. It's pronouns.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't bother me whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I noticed, like, I think you asked the question, the actor or actress. I really want to be seen as an actress. I don't want to be seen as an actor.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that little bit of difference, but when somebody says he or, it doesn't bother me as much as that does. So there's little things that are more triggering than other things. And I know it's weird, but that's kind of just the way it is. And a lot of people are really hung up on that when they come out and they say, you have to call me she, you have to call me he, you got to. And people, they respond to that.
Yeah.
Sometimes they respond negatively to that too.
Yeah.
So I think we can do a better job, and sometimes we can't. We just can't do it. We can't take it.
Well, there's a lot of factors involved. I mean, this is one individual's life, but it affects a lot of people. It affects family, friends, community. It affects everybody, right?
Absolutely.
But like she's saying, we can only do the best we can do, and that's what this conversation is about.
Absolutely.
As someone who is not a transgender, I would understand her journey more, and people, transgender people across the country, anybody I run into, I want to understand the journey a little more. Everybody's journey is unique. So what can we do on the outside? The pronouns, I have to admit, I'm learning how to use the pronouns better. I know, literally.
I mess them up too. I mess them up on myself sometimes, which is really weird.
So sometimes I'll say the wrong one with someone, and I'll get like, oh no, because I'm scared they're going to get offended. And like, it's a transition for us too that are not transgender. Absolutely. Or I was in a store yesterday, and I had a beautiful person help me, and his name was Isaac. And Isaac started as a girl and is now Isaac, and I was like trying to get it straight, and I was like, and then when you don't know someone, you're like, well, does he go by he? But then when he introduced himself, he said, yes, my name is Isaac. And then when I actually brought another friend back to the store to buy something else because it's the best store ever, and Isaac was incredible, but Isaac had already left, and the girl working there referred to him as he. So now I know for sure that he goes by he and his name is Isaac. He's wonderful. But
it's a journey for us too. So I would say to
absolutely.
anyone who is, transferring gender, whatever, if your pronouns are important, but and they're important to me too. I want to get it right.
Right. But you see, because I hid for so long, and it's so ingrained to me not to make a mistake. Because can you imagine
to hide it,
to be able to hide it and never make a mistake for 20 years?
Yeah. Wow.
And so now, am I just defaulting to what I'm comfortable with?
Right.
Am I, habit? Is it? I mean, there's all these different things. And so, like I said, sometimes it matters and sometimes it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
And sometimes it really offends you.
Yeah.
And you
and so sensitivity and empathy. Can we just talk about empathy that we need in our
empathy
nation? Because
is amazing.
we need empathy for everything.
Yes. And that's one thing that I've always been an empath, but I turned it off a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I'm learning how to reopen that up, which is amazing. It's scary at the same time, because...
And here's the thing, we don't really turn it off, we compress it. And that's the difference, and
Well,
that's why we implode.
Yes.
When we don't
you pull all those feelings in and you get full, and then
it comes out in depression, anger, whatever,
Absolutely.
Right? So you knew that you needed to take the journey, you were afraid to take the journey, of course, and then you started taking the journey slowly, and then you got to a point where you just were like, I have to make this change, because you told me you were suicidal. You were at a point where I don't want to live like this. I can't live like this.
I can tell you what you go through, or what I went through. I went through the basic stages of grief, the 5 stages of grief. You're going to go through. I was angry. I was angry for so long.
Sure.
I was mad that I was transgender. I didn't want to be transgender.
Yeah. Well, because let's just clarify: no one chooses to go through this journey.
Oh,
this is hard.
Not. Yes,
this is hard.
Very hard.
You don't wake up and go, for fun, I'm going to be transgender. And that's this cost you. This is a journey.
But it's not a conscious choice. And
Right.
I think people don't. They go, oh, they just change it. No, this is something people have thought about for a long time. Nobody's just going to change that right off.
The cost is too
and
great.
you know what you are.
Yeah.
And eventually you will either come to terms with it or
Yeah.
I was trying to run out the clock.
Yeah.
I didn't want anybody to know. I was going to say, I'm just going to, bury it. I'd go out of town sometimes and I would be Sophie on the weekend kind of thing. And life was all right. It was plugging along. And then 5 years ago, my mother and brother died on the same weekend. And that set a whole series of things in motion that I just couldn't handle the emotions anymore.
Yeah.
I got overloaded.
Yeah.
And then when things started breaking down, they just completely broke down. I had things piling on every couple of years. I'd have another catastrophic event that happened, and it got to the point where I just couldn't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be easier just to kill myself than to let anybody know that I was transgender. That's how ashamed I was of who I was.
Right.
Which is it's horrible.
Right.
I mean, it really is.
Right.
If you think about that. That I thought it would be better to die than to be who I am.
And I think a lot of people struggle with that, not just with gender issues, but with other things.
Anything.
Anything that we carry shame about makes it hard to live.
Yeah.
And that could be for people who have suffered a sexual assault or whatever,
Whatever.
Lost a child, whatever. If you have shame or guilt or something connected, or just you have trouble being you, then sometimes it's hard to just keep living, and that's difficult,
And it was difficult.
But you did it.
I did it.
And you rallied your friends and family, and they've been very supportive. So let's talk about, you've come through the process. You're living as Sophie now.
Yes.
What's happening now in your life? Because there's some interesting and exciting things happening.
One of the biggest things I think I did right was I took control of the narrative. At least that's what I call it. Taking control of my story. Because you know what? They're going to talk about me.
Yeah.
I'd rather them hear it from me than from somebody else that they don't know. Ask me. I'll be happy to tell you my story.
And that was one of the things I loved about your story, was that you didn't come out like kind of shy and scared. You came out and said, this is who I am, and this is why I'm taking this, this journey.
Right.
And you were very vocal about it. And I think
Yeah.
that's lovely. It's brave.
And that has opened up so many doors for me. It's unbelievable.
You've been
It's
acting. Like you used to be behind the
I
camera,
used to be
and now
behind the
you're all in
camera,
front of the
but
camera.
I never liked the way I looked in front of the camera. And now I'm starting to be okay with the way I look and seeing myself on camera.
And she's done some major TV shows.
I have.
In the last little while,
I have.
and a lot of film work.
My last one that just came out aired October 30th. I was Chicago Med.
I was cheering
Top
for you
of
from
show.
LA. I was like, look at my girl. Woo.
Top of show, which people,
Yes.
I don't know if people understand what top of show means. It means the episode's about you.
It was a big credit. It was a big
that's
credit,
that's
a big show.
credit.
You did a beautiful
big show,
job.
prime time. And it told a transgender story that wasn't just a coming out story.
Right. Right.
So it's more about our lives and what
Yes.
happens in our lives.
Yes.
And the thing about shooting that was that it was tough to shoot because it was so close to home.
Yeah.
Me and the person that played my wife, Natalia, we bonded like
Yeah.
instantly. And
That's great.
We, I could see that if I didn't tell my wife,
Yeah.
that could have happened
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
easily. I mean, it was almost like tailor-made for me.
Yeah.
Because I waited till I was older, waited until,
Yeah.
to come out. And then, if I wouldn't have told her, I could see myself in that same boat.
Yeah.
Which was, it was heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
The last day of shooting was so hard. I only think I had like 2 or 3 lines that day, but my God, that was tough.
It was close to home.
It was too close to home. And Natalia, she goes, I've never cried that much on set.
Oh.
She's been acting for 30 years.
Wow.
And just,
Yeah.
it was so emotional.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm quite proud of it. I think we did a very,
Yeah.
very
You guys
nice
did
job.
a beautiful job. Beautiful
And
job.
the story was well written.
Yeah.
Everybody
I
on
like that
Chicago
show.
Med was wonderful.
Good.
Everything was hitting on every cylinder
Yeah.
right then, and that's when it's really nice. Now, one thing I did do was that night that it aired, I had a party, and I had some friends come in, and the person I reached out to that I credit for saving my life was there.
Oh.
And my best
Beautiful.
friend Wayne, and I gave a toast to him that night, because one thing that people don't think about is I would have missed, if I'd have done what I thought about doing, I would have missed that 3-year period of time.
Yeah.
That just, and the last 3 years has been absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I've been on 14 movies, 3 TV shows, numerous articles, cover of Pride Source.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
we're
there's
talking
lots
a
more
lot
to
of-
come. I mean, this is the start of
Yeah.
the journey, I think. I think you have a lot to say, and
I do have a lot to say, and I
It's-
have been writing a lot.
The doors are gonna open.
And I now I'm syndicated, and I've got 2. One of them's Pride Source, and the other one is, I think it's. Well, wait. We'll type it in.
Okay,
the thing,
we'll type
because
it
I
in
don't
the
remember the name of it.
So Sophie, if you want to follow Sophie's journey, I'm going to put her Facebook and website on here. But I just want to say, and I know that you agree with me,
Yeah.
that wherever you are in your journey today, like sometimes we have to take hard journeys in life to overcome things that have happened to us, trauma, things like that, or just choices we need to make to be true to ourselves. And I would just say to you today, wherever you are in your journey, hang in there. And it's okay for you to be you,
Yeah.
and it's not just okay, it's imperative. We need you. And you in your natural self are perfection. We have to stop judging each other and stop trying to reach some level of something that we think we're supposed to be. Who you are is perfect right now, and I just challenge you to embrace that and to surround yourself with people who will help you do that. If there are people in your life who are haters and who can't handle who you are and what you need to be authentic to yourself, find a community that has empathy, find a community that is love and support and advocacy, the way that Sophie did, and use that to get your wings.
Yeah, because I noticed that until I embraced who I was having all kinds of issues. But once I fully just said, okay, that's it, I'm done, everything's opened up. And, you know, it's just my mood. I mean, my therapist can't believe how far I've come. I mean, everybody, how far I've come in such a short period of time, in a year and a half, to go from, you know, being completely suicidal. Actually, at the end of the first year of therapy, my therapist goes, I didn't think you're going to make it. And I told her, I said, you know what? I didn't either.
Yeah.
Because that's how far down I had gotten.
Right.
But now that I've come around, I can't believe I was even there.
Yeah.
You know, it's just such night and day difference. And taking control of everything and telling my own story has been my godsend.
Yeah.
You know, just being able to say who I am. You know, I'm Sophie Marie and I'm transgender. And it's hard to say. It's really hard to say.
So brave. Thank you for sharing your story with us.